I am 62 years old, and 3 months ago I sat in a small apartment in Manila across from a Filipina woman I had married, while she calmly described how she was going to have me arrested. Not because I had done anything wrong, but because she knew the Philippines has a law called VAWC, Violence Against Women and Children, and that a foreign man accused under that law in this country gets put in a Filipino jail while the case is processed. She looked me directly in the eyes and told me that if I did not sign over the rights to the house I had paid $60,000 to build, and if I did not transfer the remaining balance in our joint account to her personal account, she would make one phone call. $350,000. That is what it cost me to find out that the woman I trusted with my retirement could weaponize the legal system of a foreign country against me with a single text message. If you are a man my age planning to retire in the Philippines or already there, stay on this video. This is not a travel warning. This is a legal survival guide. Subscribe right now if you want to know exactly how to protect yourself from ending up extorted in a foreign country by the person who swore to love you. I am living proof that it happens. Listen carefully. I retired at 60 from logistics after 30 years managing supply chains for a distribution company out of Columbus, Ohio. When the company downsized and offered me the buyout package, I took it without hesitating. I had $350,000 in savings and retirement funds combined, a two-bedroom apartment I was leasing month to month, and absolutely no reason to stay in Ohio. My marriage had ended quietly years before, no drama, just two people who had grown so far apart there was no bridge left to build. My kids were grown. My social life had shrunk to a bowling night I half enjoyed and a barbecue I hosted once a year out of habit. I found the Philippines through the same pipeline most American men my age find it: online expat forums. Retired guys posting about their lives in Cebu and Davao, the weather, the food, the exchange rate. 1,000 pesos sounded like real money until I learned it was about $17. But $17 went surprisingly far. I did 6 months of research before I booked my first ticket. I had spreadsheets. I had savings projections. I was methodical about it the way I had been methodical about logistics for 30 years. I was going to do this right. I met Joy online before I even landed in the country. She was 26, from a small town in Cebu province, working as an office administrator in Manila. Her profile was modest. No bikini photos, no party pictures. Just a woman at church, a woman at a family gathering, a woman in a small apartment that looked clean and simple. Her English was good. Her messages were warm but not aggressive. She did not push. She did not perform. She seemed, of all things, normal. After months of talking, she felt like the most real person I had met in years. When I arrived in Manila and she met me at the airport, I was 61 years old and I felt 20 years younger. She brought me to a clean guest house she had arranged in Pasay, near the bay. We ate fresh grilled fish and watched the sunset over Manila Bay that first evening, and she held my hand on the railing and said she was happy I was finally here. I believed her completely. Not because I was naive, because I had never given a woman reason to lie to me like that, and I did not know yet what the architecture of that kind of lie looked like. We married 7 months after I arrived. I know how that sounds. I knew how it sounded then. But she was consistent, she was gentle, she cooked every meal, she called her parents every Sunday in my presence. She introduced me to her family on a trip to Cebu with what felt like genuine pride. I thought I had found not just a wife, but a community. That feeling lasted about 4 more months before the first crack appeared. The financial leaks started the way they always do in these situations. Gradually, reasonably, one small emergency at a time. The first was a hospital bill for her mother in Cebu, 38,000 pesos, about $650. I paid it without a second thought. The second was a sudden crisis with the apartment we were renting, a landlord dispute that required a lawyer, another $400. The third was her sister's university enrollment, a one-time semester fee that would expire if not paid immediately, another $900. Each one arrived with documentation, photos, receipts, screenshots of hospital forms. Each one felt real enough that refusing would have felt heartless. By month 12 of our marriage, I had quietly transferred the equivalent of about $30,000 in various amounts for various emergencies. I want you to understand something. These were not wire transfers labeled "giving money to wife." These were hospital bills and school fees and a new water pump for the province house and a replacement motorcycle for a brother who lost his livelihood. The packaging was always perfect. Building the house was Joy's idea, but she presented it as ours. She showed me land her family owned in a municipality about 2 hours from Cebu City. She had a floor plan sketched on graph paper. She talked about growing vegetables, about the sea breeze, about me sitting on a porch watching rice fields in my retirement. It sounded frankly like paradise. I knew the legal reality. Foreigners cannot own land in the Philippines. I had read it in the forums. Joy walked me through the arrangement calmly. Legally, it would be in her name, but we would draw up a private agreement between us, a notarized document confirming my financial contribution and my right to live there indefinitely. The contractor was a friend of her uncle's, she said, very trustworthy, very affordable. The house cost $60,000 from start to finish. It took 4 months to build. I visited the site once during construction, a modest concrete structure with a porch, ceiling fans, a small garden at the back. It was beautiful in the way that simple things are beautiful. On the day we took photos standing in front of the finished house, Joy was wearing a yellow dress and she was laughing at something I had said. I thought that image was the beginning of the rest of my life. After the house was finished, something in Joy's behavior changed in a way that was subtle at first and then impossible to ignore. She started taking calls in a different room. She started going to church on Wednesday evenings, which had never happened before. She started carrying a second phone, which she said was for work. When I asked about the second phone directly, she became very still and said that she did not like being questioned, that she had given up her freedom to be with me, and that I was treating her like a suspect. I backed down. I backed down because I had $60,000 and $350,000 more tied up in the decision to be in this relationship, and backing down was easier than confronting what I already knew was true. The morning everything broke open was a Thursday in February. I had been quietly consulting with an English-speaking attorney in Manila for 3 weeks at that point, gathering information about my legal position regarding the house. On that Thursday morning, I told Joy calmly that I had spoken to a lawyer and that I wanted to discuss the property arrangements and put something more formal in place regarding my financial contributions. I said it carefully, professionally, the way I would have handled a difficult conversation in a logistics meeting. Joy's response was not what I expected. She did not argue. She did not cry. She sat across from me at the kitchen table and she said, very quietly, that I needed to think carefully about what I was doing. She said she had friends, that people in this country understood how to protect a Filipino wife from a foreign husband who became difficult. I did not understand exactly what she meant, and I said so. She pulled out her phone, opened a browser, and showed me the VAWC law, Violence Against Women and Children. She explained it to me the way you explain something to someone who is about to make a very expensive mistake. Any act of psychological violence, emotional abuse, or economic control toward a Filipino wife was prosecutable. Being charged did not require evidence immediately, An accusation was sufficient for an arrest warrant and detention pending investigation. She told me that a Manila jail was not a comfortable place for a 62-year-old American man. She told me this without raising her voice. She told me that if I signed the property title transfer, confirming the house was solely hers, and if I transferred the remaining balance of our joint account, around $80,000, into her personal account, she would consider the matter settled. She would not file any complaint. We could go our separate ways without anyone being handcuffed in a foreign country. I sat with that for a long moment. I ran the calculation in my head that I suspect every man in that position runs. She might be bluffing. She might not. The Philippine legal system moves slowly and unpredictably. I had heard enough stories in the expat forums about foreigners held for months awaiting trial on domestic complaints to know that the threat was not an empty one. I thought about sitting in a Manila detention facility at 62, waiting for a legal process I did not understand, in a country where I had no family and no local connections. I thought about the American embassy, which could observe my situation but not extract me from it. I signed the documents. I made the transfer. I watched $80,000 leave my account in one transaction, while Joy sat across from me, watching her phone to confirm the receipt. When it cleared, she stood up, picked up the bag she had apparently already packed, thanked me by name, and walked out of the apartment. She did not look back. She did not cry. She did not hesitate. She had simply concluded a business transaction and moved on to whatever came next. I sat in that apartment for 6 hours without moving. Then I called my attorney. He confirmed what I already knew. The private agreement I had about the house was worth nothing against the legal title. The money was gone. He advised me to document everything I could remember in writing in case I ever wanted to pursue a civil case, but cautioned that going after Joy legally would give her a reason to file the very complaint she had threatened. Letting it go cost me everything. Fighting it might cost me more. I have been sitting with this for 3 months now. I live in a small room near Malate. My Social Security comes to $1,100 a month. After rent, food, and a prepaid SIM card to call my daughter on Sundays, there is not much left. I am 62 years old and I have no retirement. What I have is a story I am choosing to tell, and I want to be very precise about the warning inside it. First, the VAWC law in the Philippines is real, and it can be used as a weapon against foreign men in bad marriages. I am not saying the law is unjust. It exists to protect women and children from genuine abuse, and that protection matters. What I am telling you is that in the hands of a calculated woman with bad intentions, it becomes a tool for extortion. If you are in a relationship with a Filipina woman that is deteriorating, and you are the one holding the assets, and she is growing cold and distant, you need to consult an attorney immediately. Before any confrontation, before any conversation, know your legal position before she knows you know. Second, joint accounts are a trap. Never, under any circumstances, put your retirement savings in a joint account with a woman you have known for less than 5 years in a foreign country. A joint account in the Philippines gives both parties full access. There is no court order required for her to empty it. There is no warning. One morning it is there, and then it is not. Third, the property law in the Philippines does not change because you are in love. Foreigners cannot own land. The private agreements, the notarized side contracts, the trust arrangements, all of them sound reasonable, and they are all legally subordinate to the title. If her name is on the title, the property is hers, period. No amount of documentation you create together will override that fundamental reality when the relationship ends and she decides to enforce it. Fourth, If you are being threatened with legal action and you are a foreign national in the Philippines, contact the American Citizen Services Unit at the U.S. Embassy in Manila immediately. They cannot get you out of trouble, but they can witness your situation, document it, and provide consular assistance. Do not face this alone. Do not believe that compliance is your only option. And fifth, please hear me on this one. Before you move your retirement overseas for a relationship, do the work. Not online research, real work. Talk to a Philippine-based attorney before you arrive. Understand the laws around property, marriage, and domestic disputes as they apply to foreign nationals. Not after something goes wrong, before you land. I am not telling you the Philippines is a dangerous place. It is not. I am telling you that desperation and loneliness and a need to believe in something beautiful makes men my age vulnerable in ways we are not prepared for. I was not a stupid man. I ran logistics for 30 years. I managed budgets and people and systems. And I sat at a kitchen table while a 26-year-old woman described exactly how she planned to have me arrested. And I calculated that my best option was to give her $80,000 and walk away with my freedom intact. Know the law, protect your assets, and if you want to keep learning how to do that from someone who learned it the hardest possible way, stay on this channel. I am not going anywhere. I have nowhere else to go.